Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Audi A4 car, Coup. The Audi A4 B7 is a completely problem-free car, despite some weak points. An example would be the front suspension, which has been the Achilles heel of the model since the B5 generation. However, its low durability is all that can be said badly. The engines are no longer a secret or a big problem. The troublesome TFSI units are available in a good 2-liter version of the first EA113 series. The problems, including carbon deposits, are already well known and can be combated. What's more, companies dealing with regeneration have already mastered the subject, and there is no shortage of used engines on the market. It is a durable unit, but it can be a bit problematic. It is better than the opposite situation, which is the case in early versions of the next generation EA888. Higher mileage indicates that they do not have the defects described many times, or they have been eliminated. There should also be no great concerns about 2.0 TDI diesels, the worst ones with pump injectors, PD. The market shows that they make up half of the offers, and the mileage of some units is already approaching 400,000 kilometers. If these engines were not very durable, unrepairable, or impossible to live with, they would be marginal. Quote, "Which version of A4 B7 should I choose?" After the long introduction, you know that the 2.0 TFSI and 2.0 TDI PD engines, although they have some flaws, have already been tamed. However, this does not mean that they can be recommended just like that. In the case of a petrol engine, you need to be aware that the engine will require an overhaul after purchase if it is to last longer. It may be necessary to clean it of carbon deposits, check all the sensors, or, in a worst case, replace the injectors. In my opinion, a good engine inspection with a standard starter package should be carried out if the previous owner does not document or provide assurance that everything is in the best order. The 2.0 TFSI in good condition is the golden mean between the weaker 4-cylinder versions and the powerful but still fuel-hungry V6 version. The best choice is in the 200 and 220 HP versions. The older type units are less demanding. The 1.8 T petrol may not be ideal, but it is a highly valued, durable engine, much simpler and less sensitive than the TFSI. Unfortunately, it is also much weaker. However, it is not about power, but torque. It develops 225 Nm compared to 280 Nm of the weakest TFSI unit offered. What's more, the torque curve of the 2-liter variant is better, which translates into sensible driving, allowing for lower fuel consumption with better dynamics. It is worth emphasizing, however, that both engines can be tuned, and the 1.8 T is one of the favorites of tuners. The older type of engine has another disadvantage: optional pairing with the automatic multitronic gearbox, which can be troublesome. The 2-liter also worked with such a gearbox, but you can also buy a version with classic Tiptronic. I think that when buying the 1.8 T version, you should focus on the manual. The advantage of the 1.8 T version is the possibility of finding a version with Quattro drive. The 2.0 TFSI with Quattro was available only in more powerful versions, 200 or 220 horsepower. In general, the 1.8 T unit can be recommended to anyone who likes dynamic driving. Also to those planning to install an LPG system. You just have to pay attention to the condition of the engine, because despite its great durability, it can be very neglected, especially in the area of timing. The alternative to the 2.0 TFSI is definitely not the naturally aspirated 1.6 and 2.0 engines. The first is a sure thing without a doubt. There is no point in going on about it. Poor performance, average fuel consumption, trouble-free operation, and a great match for LPG. A slightly more complicated unit is the 2-liter ALT. Its main problem is high oil consumption, although not every model has it, and high is a very subjective concept. For one user, 1L's 1,000 kilometers is not a problem. Another treats 1L's 10,000 kilometers as a huge problem, hence the extremely different opinions. The same applies to the entire mechanics of the unit, which is sometimes neglected, and everyone evaluates the expenses against their own budget. Another issue is that cars with this unit were usually imported after the mileage had been changed, which also distorts the assessment. In my opinion, ALT is a unit that should not be crossed out if you find a nice one. Pool. The big 3.2 FSI engine needs to be approached with more caution. Its biggest problem is that it has been fitted under a relatively small hood, which means repairs are time-consuming and often require the removal of the engine. An example would be the most sensitive area, the timing chain, or rather chains, because there are 4 working on a total of 9 gears, some double, 4 of which are KZFR. To make things more interesting, the timing drive is located at the back of the engine. There are a few other aspects that make this a motor you have to be ready for, primarily financially, but also mentally. If TDI, which one? Now let's move on to diesels. And these were offered in as many as 5 variants in terms of capacity and 7 in terms of power. The older 1.9 TDI is not an alternative to the 2.0 TDI. It has significantly worse performance, only 115 HP. However, it is a good workhorse for long mileage, provided that it is properly cared for, mainly oil and timing. There are cases of the timing belt or accessory drive braking, which can lead to the destruction of the unit. These belts must be replaced no later than every 90,000 kilometers. Apart from that, it's hard to have more reservations. Filling with the right oil ensures longevity, and if repairs are necessary, they are cheap due to the simplicity of the design and the huge selection of parts. If the car is to be used for commuting to work or driving around the house, then the 1.9 TDI diesel version will be the best choice. The 2.5 TDI is a more likely alternative to the 2-liter engine. It has similar performance. However, it is a large engine that requires greater outlays in the event of failures. If you decide to buy the 2.5 TDI, it is best to choose the BCZ variant, which is characterized by pairing with the Multitronic gearbox. However, if you are afraid of this automatic, the 2.7 TDI engine will be a better choice. This engine has been offered since 2006, and only with front-wheel drive. The owner's biggest concern should be the timing system, consisting of 4 chains. Very expensive to replace, although relatively durable, even up to 300,000 kilometers. Any sign of its wear should give food for thought when buying a car, because the expenses already count in thousands. Exactly the same applies to the 3.0 TDI unit, with an even more heavily loaded timing system. While the V6 diesels, especially the 2.7 and 3.0, are phenomenal to drive, in the end it turns out that the 2.0 TDI is the golden mean. The 170 horsepower version has power and performance similar to the 2.5, 2.7 TDI version, and is much cheaper to repair and, if well maintained, is no less durable, as practice shows. At the two extremes are the weakest 1.9 TDI and the most powerful 3.0 TDI, which, unlike the 2.5/2.7 versions, was paired with both Quattro drive and the Tiptronic automatic. If you care about such a configuration, the choice is clear, and if not, it is better to stick with the 2.0 TDI. What's the deal with these crates? Audi A4 B7 gearboxes are generally available in 4 different variants. 5-speed manual, engines 1.6, 1.8T, 2.0, 2.0T FSI, 200 HP, 1.9 TDI. 6-speed manual, engines 1.8T, 2.0T FSI, 3.2 FSI, 4.2, 1.9 TDI, 2.0 TDI, 2.7 TDI, 3.0 TDI. Continuously variable Multitronic, engines 1.8T, 2.0, 2.0T FSI, 200 HP, 2.0 TDI, 140 HP, 2.5 TDI BCZ, 2.7 TDI. 6-speed Tiptronic, engines 2.0 T FSI, 200 HP, 3.2 FSI, 4.2 S4, 3.0 TDI. Unfortunately, I can't give you 100% certainty that this is always the case. This is a general rule, but apparently there are some exceptions, e.g. US versions camouflaged after being imported to Europe. An automatic transmission that works under low load, for example in combination with a 2.0 petrol engine, is quite a durable transmission, but not necessarily with a powerful diesel engine. If you treat it gently, it will last for years. The plus for the manufacturer for not combining this transmission with a Quattro drive, which is unfortunately a certain drawback when using powerful variants. You can read more about the multitronic transmission in the text below. What about Quattro drive? Puro. It is worth recommending because it is efficient and durable, always with a central differential, i.e. the so-called real one. It has one drawback. It loads the engine more. This is one of the reasons why the timing drive is usually more strained in the 3.0 TDI diesel, in which its 450 Nm of torque has no outlet in the form of wheel slippage, especially when it works in conjunction with a manual gearbox. Quote, the Quattro drive is available in the following engine versions. Optional, 1.8T, 2.0 TFSI, 200 and 220 HP, 3.2 FSI, 2.0 TDI, Standard, 3.0 TDI, 4.2. Technically, the Audi A4 B7 is a very good car, offering excellent driving characteristics and luxury corresponding to the premium class, although not particularly spacious. Many of the shortcomings that occurred in the B6 have been corrected. The B7 is a deep facelift of the previous generation, although it is considered a separate one. Thanks for listening to me. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I did not mention, be sure to write about them in the comments.